You're watching CHCO-TV's gavel-to-gavel coverage of the February 2026 regular council meeting for the Municipal District of St. Stephen. I'm Florence Mitchell. In today's meeting, under bylaws, Council will move that Bylaw 01-26, establishing a code of conduct for Council, is given its second reading by title as amended. Under new business, Council will move to approve the transition of the International Homecoming Festival back to a community-governed board. Council will also move to authorize the Mayor to provide a letter to Quad NB in support of their application to the Province of New Brunswick for street access. Additionally, Council will move that the Municipal District commits to an age-friendly approach and works to implement age-friendly initiatives. Finally, Council will discuss the 2026 Council Grant Program. Now let's join Council in the Moosehead Room at the Garcelon Civic Centre in St. Stephen.
Okay, welcome everyone. Municipal District of St. Stephen Council agenda for Wednesday, February 25th, 2026 at 6 p.m. I'll call to order. Everyone is in attendance. Thank you, Council. Before we begin, I would like to respectfully acknowledge that we are gathered today on ancestral unceded territory of the Passamaquoddy people. And I'll start off with a mover and seconder that the agenda for the regular council meeting of February 25th, 2026 be approved. Councilor Harding? Councilor Greenlaw? Any questions? All those in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Seeing none, thank you. Any conflicts of interest this evening? Seeing none. Let's see, I'll take a mover and seconder for the special council meeting, that the minutes of the special council meeting held on February 11th, 2026 be approved as presented. Councilor Heislip, Councilor Wright, any questions? No questions? All those in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Motion carried. Take a mover and seconder that the minutes of the regular council meeting held on January 28th, 2026 be approved as presented. So moved. Deputy Mayor Wheaton, Councilor Cornish. Questions? All those in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Motion carried. Thank you. No. Okay. Public comment period. Any public comments this evening? Yeah. Yeah.
From Ward 3. So I see that we have the Code of Conduct on the agenda for tonight for second reading. And I am pleased to see that some of the changes that were recommended by the Rural Ward Committee were accepted. So we do appreciate that, and I guess we can always bring more forward to the next council in the next term. I am still feeling a little bit concerned about the advisory from the Local Governance Commission, and I still feel that the Code of Conduct, the way it is right now, doesn't meet what the what the Local Governance Commission was advising, and that would be pertaining to sections 1121 and 1123, where in those two sections the bylaw continues to direct that the code of conduct matters or complaints be placed in a closed session. And so the advisory was that those things should not be in closed session, and that if they are, they need to be grounded explicitly in the items under 68(1) of the Local Governance Act. So if indeed this is the way that the code of conduct is supposed to be written, then I would think that it should say more explicitly in the bylaw that the reason that it's being put on the closed session would specify which of the grounds in the Local Governance Act is being put on the closed agenda for, if that makes any sense. Sorry. Anyways, probably you can gather what I'm trying to say. I feel like the bylaw still needs to be a little bit more explicit in those particular items about why it would be putting on a closed session. So I'll just leave it at that. The other item I just wanted to mention was, well, I noticed on Quad MB that there's no mention of any outcome from what the RCMP might have said about the plans. I see RCMP is here today, so maybe you're going to have somebody speak about that. But that was something that was mentioned during the meeting, to explicitly come back to tell us the RCMP's position on the proposed map and everything of letting the ATVs come into town. So I was hoping to hear about that. There was also mention of the BIA and Chamber being consulted. And then lastly, about the International Homecoming Festival, I see there's a request for decision in the agenda. I feel a little bit concerned about the request for decision in that I feel that it's not 100% clear what the actual structure will be going forward. And the reason I say that is because it talks about having a community-led or a community-governed committee, and yet under the staff participation section, it still talks about, staff participation and even oversight. So I feel like those two things are contradictory, and that it would be critical to make sure that it's extremely clear how the structure organization is going to go forward, especially given the fact that it affects the community, it affects CALIS Planning Committee, and the fact that we're already into February and there's no time to lose in terms of anyone wondering how exactly things are going to happen. Thank you very much for listening. Thanks.
Thank you. Okay, no further comments. Okay, thank you very much from the public. Okay, so we'll move on to, I'll take a mover and seconder for bylaw 01-26, establishing a code of conduct for members of council, second reading. I'll take a mover and seconder.
Moved.
Councillor Wright.
Second.
Deputy Mayor Wheaton. That the bylaw 01-26, a bylaw establishing a code of conduct for the members of council of the Municipal District of St. Stephen Council be given second reading by title as amended. Any questions? All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Seeing none, motion carried. Thank you. Okay. Let's see. I'll take a mover and seconder that council approved the transition of the International Festival back to a community-governed board, reaffirming the festival's long-standing role as a community-led celebration with a goal of recruiting new volunteers. Councillor Rodas, Councillor Cornish. Any questions? Councillor Greenlaw?
No, I'm all for community-led, but I'd like to make sure that there's a proper handoff. So I'd like to see that the municipal district retains control and oversight of it until there is a chair in place and until there's a board made up of, enough people to make sure that the work gets done.
Yeah, I wouldn't
Yeah.
have concern with that, but I don't think staff would have any concern with that.
No, I mean, clearly it's going to be there'll have to be a transitional plan put in place. And I think the key point is that there's no intention of the MDSS team to walk away from this. So there will still be in there as a key partner in everything. But I think once we get into, we need this resolution first so that we can put out the call for the volunteers and build that team. And once we have that team, it's much easier to create the transition plan and smoothly move over to the committee base as opposed to the staff led. So it's just a matter of first the policy decision that yes, this is where we want to go, and then we'll work on the next steps as we move forward.
Yeah, I'll just add there, so there's no confusion out there. We're not definitely not backing away from this. The biggest thing we're trying to create is the energy in our community, and idea making, and all that stuff, and get it back to the way it was. I know a few years back when we took it over, it lost traction, but let's see if we can bring that back. If we got a community out there that wants to have any type of festivals, we got to get people involved, because the volunteer base is getting lower. We got to start encouraging more volunteers, and better yet, when it comes from the roots of the community, it would create a lot more energy, is my belief on that anyway. At least we won't know till we find out. So you certainly can, Deputy Mayor.
Okay, I just wanted to mention that, as a matter of fact, next Monday, there is a meeting with CALIS, and we're going. So we're going to make sure that we keep track of what's going on.
Yes. Thank you, Deputy. Oh my goodness. Councilor Wright, sorry.
No worries. Yes, I'm also in support of this. When we look at the successful festivals and the events that happen, we look at the Charlotte County Fall Fair. It takes their team of volunteers a whole year to plan and pull off that event. And having talked to some people that served on the International Festival Committee before, the amount of work that's involved, and having had just a few staff members trying to deal with all of that, as well as a regular job, getting that community involvement back is essential, same as the Chocolate Fest is now. So we're not giving anything up as a community, as you mentioned. The intent is the staff will still be there. The MDSS is still a partner, still doing a lot of what it does financially and work-wise with staff, but we're just expanding this to make it better, just like all the other festivals. So I'm totally in support.
Thank you. Councilor Rodish?
I'm in support of it as well. I was thinking actually recently, just because of how great the turnout was at the Border versus Order hockey game. This is just a suggestion I'm throwing out for the new community-led committee. It would be really cool if in January every year, February, we could have a Canada versus USA hockey game here in this arena. Just because of how much spirit and energy was around the Olympics, I think it would be really neat if it happened here in our local community where we have both sides and that energy. And that might be something that just kickstarts the momentum and gets people talking about it earlier on. But my only concern is just if we can't, if the volunteer base just doesn't come up to the surface, which has happened over the past few years, it is challenging to recruit volunteers, and families are busy, and especially during that week in the summer. Do we have kind of a backup plan? Is it feasible for us to continue with just the two staff that we have with the level of workload that they currently have in terms of keeping it going?
Okay. Well, a few things. As you built up to that, you're talking about the American Canadian team. You must be reading my mind, because I was already asking how many of the border officers on the American side play hockey. So I'm seeing if they could get a team together to play our border. Anyway, I'm going to get going on, but those wheels have been turning since that event. And as for, we're not going to know until we know, and then we'll have to deal with it. We've been dealing with it now. And, we're going to have to push through. I just hope staff can handle it. But I have faith that we're going to have lots of people stand up. They're there. You saw it the other night. So maybe this is coming. We'll see. But unless you got anything more to add to that, Jeff, as far as
no, Your Worship. It's if the worst comes to be, we'll continue as we have been. I don't think that's the ideal situation, but. We're not going to, we've said several times already, we're not going to bail on this event. And if we have to do it in-house, we will adjust our priorities and our staffing commitments to make sure that the best event is put together that we possibly can.
Yeah, and also speaking of competition, the American side does do it volunteer-based. So there's your competition right there. If, here we are asking if they get hockey players, do we have volunteers? Let's see. I think it's going to be gone. We're going to be fine. All right. Any more questions or comments? No, thank you. All those in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Motion carried. Thank you. Okay. Next up, I need a mover and seconder for that council authorized the mayor to provide a letter to Quad New Brunswick in support of their application to the province of New Brunswick for the street access in Municipal District of St. Stephen as outlined in the red on map provided. Councilor Otis, Councilor Cornish. Any questions? Councilor Wright?
Not a question, just a comment. I did speak with the BIA and Chamber executive directors, and I know the BIA sent out an email to their members stating that this was a request made in public session to us. I have not received any negative feedback at all. The only feedback I've received from several people was, it's a great idea, let's move forward. So they have been asked, and that was the result. Not a whole lot.
Thank you. Councilor Heislip?
Yeah, to the public comment period points, that was one of the questions I had, because we did request that to hear back, and that's good to hear that there's no, but also the police too as well, and I think if somebody has some information on that, maybe you should share it, or if anybody talked to, I know of. Yes, we've had a talk in our garage for about an hour, so I think she's well aware of it, so if there's any negative comments, we would have heard by now from. Yeah. Yeah, I could allow that.
Oh, sure. Come forward, sir. Yeah.
Good evening now. So basically, to answer your question, the RCMP really doesn't have an opinion on yay or nay, but we have to police what is presented to us. So almost a year ago now, we had some severe ATV problems here in St. Stephen. And the Danko, who's our staff sergeant here in town, Jeff Peters, put me in charge of getting it under wraps and identifying the problem bikes, problem issues in the town, where and how best to handle it. And honestly, I was all over them all summer, all spring. There's some Facebook feedback on those actions. I wasn't very popular for a while. But to answer your question is, we knew it was coming. And so I started preparing. So we now have all-terrain vehicles here in town in St. Stephen that are kitted up. And we are obligated to police wherever there's a need. So if you have walking trails, we have to be able to police the walking trails. If it's highway, we have to police the highway. So when it's dealing with the All-Terrain Vehicle Act, or Off-Road Vehicle Act, actually, ourselves and public safety we must enforce it. So I know I've taken action and spoken to multiple members with highway safety, and they are very happy to be in St. Stephen and enforce the act. So, and if this makes you feel any better, recently, actually it was in the late fall now, I approached members at the high school, the principal and the vice principal, about starting perhaps an ATV club. And the local ATV club here offered to have some ATV training, education and stuff, because quite honestly, even with motor vehicles on the road, you always have bad apples. It's why you have police, criminal code, people break the law. People are going to break the Off-Road Vehicle Act, and people are going to break the Motor Vehicle Act. So all we can do is do our best, educate the people, and be there to react in an appropriate manner. So what I'm also doing is, depending on how this goes, I need to do some more training for RCMP officers on the off-road vehicles, refreshing on the Off-Road Vehicle Act and stuff. So we are ahead of the curve. We saw it coming, so I was after it on request of our Danko. So does that answer your question? Okay.
Thank you, Peter. No, and I'll add too, St. George, Eastern Charlotte is actually I just found out, I see they're changing the resolution, they're adding more streets, so it seems to be going okay in St. George as well, so if you wanted something to compare to. Did I see, sorry, I'm going to take Councilor Harding first. Yeah.
Thank you, Your Worship. I've got 3 calls about this, and people, they just don't know what to expect. They don't want 3-wheeler or 4-wheelers or whatever on the town streets. I'm sure eventually, I guess, they get licensed and whatever. I don't know, I'm not familiar with them. But the people that have called me do not want them, so when this comes up for a vote, I'll be voting against it, and that's why. Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor. I was just going to reiterate that per the presentation we had to council from the Quad NB group, we're not breaking new territory here. There are many provinces, I believe the number was over 30, that have streets in New Brunswick, 30 communities in the province of New Brunswick that have designated streets where ATVs are able to go. So it's not a free-for-all, it's designated streets. We're not breaking new ground. We're getting on board, and I did speak to some members of the, some members in community that I had no idea were part of ATV groups, and they mentioned how they take their ATVs and goes on trails to other communities and how much they enjoy being able to go into downtown of the communities and access the restaurants and see what's there. So they were people I had no idea participated. So that was kind of nice to hear that they've used this, what we are proposing to do, they enjoy in other communities.
And not to mention, I can just throw this in as a police officer's view. The old days of us driving around on three-wheelers and things are over. You look at the bikes in this area and they're $60,000, $70,000 machines, and technology is continuing. The bikes are becoming quieter, and it's up to the legislature to change the Off-Road Vehicle Act, that they can be outfitted with horns and signal devices, and they're much quieter. So our job will become more and more easy as education, as technology continues. So.
Yeah, Councillor Cornish.
Just to add to that, just to make it clear, these vehicles will be traveling basically on King Street and have access to basically tourist attractions, restaurants, etc. And they also have passage to the United States. Americans coming this way, we're going that way. So it's not running all over the town. There's a prescribed pathway for it. And I think it's going to be a good idea for tourism and nothing else in both directions, in line with the hotel.
I agree. And also, last year, I identified a whole bunch of problem bikes, and I have my wall of shame, but if the riders know I have their picture and their bike, if I get complaints about them with their hoodies and their masks, I know their bikes now. So, and quite honestly, just that little bit of education, our calls, and with season as well, but our calls plummeted for a while. There's still the odd issue, but it has got much better, and I do foresee there may be a jump in the interim when it first happens, as everybody takes advantage of it, but we'll be there. There are some people who will be there, and I'll ensure that I'm there as well. So.
Okay, thank you, Peter. And a few things I'm going to mention here. One, all we're doing is asking me to send a letter to support. So we haven't even put the bylaw in place yet, so that's coming. So that'll give us some more time to learn and experience what was going on. And I know how I've done this myself. You visualize it, doing it until the floodgates are going to open. There's going to be thousands of four-wheelers. I can't visualize that. It's not going to be that busy. I mean, we hope it's busy, but it's not going to be what you think. Just constant wheelers coming down that King Street. But anyway, this is how you view it when you're making changes like this. But anyway, this is a letter of support at this point, and then council will have this chance to approve the actual location and all that later. Okay. Any more questions of council? Thank you, Peter. All those in favor? Aye. Any opposed? It's Councillor Harding. All right, approved. All right. Okay, got some reading to do here. Age-friendly community initiative. I'm mover and seconder for this, please. Okay, Councillor Rodas, Councillor Heislip. Whereas the Municipal District of St. Stephen has realized the importance of providing our seniors with good quality of life as they age. Whereas the Municipal District of St. Stephen recognizes that healthy aging and lifelong experience that occurs in a supportive, age-friendly community. Whereas the Municipal District of St. Stephen respects and recognizes the value of older citizens can play in society. Whereas the Municipal District of St. Stephen seeks to engage citizens in making our community a better place for seniors to live, stay socially and physically active, feel safe, and being engaged in community life. Whereas the Municipal District of St. Stephen would like to build on the momentum of the global movement of age-friendly communities initiated originally by the World Health Organization, WHO, as an approach to meet the needs of an aging population. Whereas the age-friendly approach to community planning is compatible with and supports our efforts in vision for fully inclusive community. Moreover, there are numerous social and economic benefits to building a community that is inclusive and meets the changing needs of residents as they age. Be it resolved that the Municipal District of St. Stephen is committed to an age-friendly approach and will participate, support, promote, and work to implement age-friendly initiatives to improve our age-friendliness. Okay. Next up, council grant program. I'll take a mover and seconder that council approved. Oh, I do. That's right. Okay, so I'll take, any questions on the age-friendly community initiative? All those in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Thank you. Motion carried. I'll take a mover and seconder that the council approve the allocation of council grants for the 2026 calendar year in the total amount of $37,418.25 as presented. Councilor Greenlaw, Councilor Harding. Questions? Councilor Wright?
Not a question, just a comment. It's a lot of work to go through those and compare them against the criteria. And so staff, just as always, deserves kudos for doing the heavy lifting and presenting us what we need to have in front of us for a vote.
Yes, and as you guys, I don't know if you guys had a chance to review that because that came out late today. That was all done under the policy that we've voted on earlier on. So is there any more questions or comments? Or no? Okay, all those in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Motion carried. Thank you, council. Well, okay. And I'll take a mover and a seconder to accept the council reports be acknowledged and received. Councilor Greenlaw, Councilor Cornish, all those in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Motion carried. And I'll take a mover and what? Oh, yeah, it's not on the agenda. Sorry, yeah, no, that's, yeah. Well, this, as soon as we close it, you can at least bring it up. Just let me close the meeting off and we'll bring it up. Everyone's still sitting here, I guess. Pursuant to Section 68(1) of the Local Governments Act, council moved to a closed session for the purpose of discussing one third-party confidentiality. Councilor Harding? Councilor Heislip, any questions?
Before you close, council reports?
All those in favor? Okay, we are now going to closed. Okay, yeah, just go ahead, Wade.
It's on. Just to shout out to Tracy Pomeroy and her staff at the library. They handed out 200 radon kits this winter. So with the 90 or so before, that's about 300 homes that'll be tested in the area, and it's very important people do that. So it's good to see that kind of a response. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Wade, and I appreciate your work on that as well. All right. Meeting is over. Open is over.